Coming up on the show, Hurricane Melissa passed through the tropics, but for thousands in that region, the crisis is far from over. We're going to tell you how one global aid group is racing medicine, supplies, and hope into the hardest hit areas. Also, pumpkins, candy, and costumes are scaring up more than just Halloween spirits this year. Find out how much more it's costing you to keep those spooky traditions alive. And they say bats come alive at night, but under UV light, they shine. Wait till you see what UGA researchers just uncovered in the dark. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to give their take on today's top stories, and we try to have just a little bit of fun as well. Well, we start off today with the federal government shutdown. It sits on day 30. The U.S. Senate is not planning on a vote of any spending bill. In fact, at last check, senators aren't expected to gavel back into session until Monday afternoon. Meanwhile, there are some signs on Wednesday, of potential progress for the first time in weeks. This is based on some senators, including GOP leader John Thurman, expressing some optimism about bipartisan talks. The big reason Saturday's deadline is upon us, the freeze of the benefits under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, which helps 42 million Americans buy food. It is that hope for bipartisanship, which is one group's hope, can be done before there's more damage to the federal economy and bureaucracy. So one group is calling for unity. The National Active and Retired Federal Employment Association. With us now is the Vice President for Policy and Programs, John Hatton. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, your group has been clear that this shutdown is taking quite a toll on both the active and the retired federal workers. Give some sense of the scope of what the impact is right now.
Well, from the federal employment side, you're having missed paychecks. So you already had 1.5 or 1.25 missed paychecks. You're going to have another one next Friday. You have military potentially missing their first paycheck November 1st. The administration may figure out a way to do that. You have larger economic impacts that you've mentioned, like people getting food assistance and food stamps, potentially going hungry, which would be really critical. That's November 1st. So the longer the shutdown goes on, the more economic impact it has negatively, the more it's forcing people to go without critical paychecks that they need to buy their groceries, to pay their rent. And it starts to get to be disruptive on the government operations that are considered essential as people start calling in sick. People will only work for so long without any pay.
Yeah. When you talk to your members, what are they talking about the most? Is it about like rent, paying their housing bills, or what is it they're talking about the most?
Yeah, they're certainly concerned about that, about the ability to pay and when they're going to get their next paycheck. But I think there's also a larger question here on the shutdown is who's kind of going to be in charge of the spending. And so we've been pushing for this bipartisan agreement that goes through Congress, that allows Congress to make the decisions regarding what the government does.
That bipartisan negotiation that you're talking about now, from your perspective, what stands in the way for it to come together?
Well, I think there's two things. On the House Republican side, they have passed what they consider a clean CR. And we've argued it's not clean because the Trump administration has unilaterally impounded and rescinded funds. So things you've seen with, CDC getting layoffs in Atlanta weren't really done with the buy-in of Congress. So it's some type of bipartisan deal that decides to have a balance and have Congress have a buy-in in some of these larger decisions about what the government does. On the other hand, on the Democratic side, we'd like to see them push a little bit more to focus on the government funding issues and at least moderate their demands or demands to become for a vote on the Affordable Care Act premiums, which, people have their own views on that. May be very critical for people to lose health coverage, understand their position. But if you're holding up all government funding for that and you can't get bipartisan agreement on it, at some point you need to kind of come to the table.
Yeah. John, we said earlier that there was some rumblings that both sides could be coming together. Are you buying that at all?
I think maybe, I mean, we're really coming at a turning point here. November 1st has a lot of critical dates, whether it's military pay, whether it's the SNAP benefits. It's the beginning of open season for the Affordable Care Act exchange plans. So people are going to start to see, when they can go sign up for plans that have higher costs or not. So it should at least be a pivot point to kind of consider where do we go from here.
Yeah.
Next Friday is another set of missed paychecks for federal employees. So my hope is in the next week we see some progress, but I don't know. So it's just rumblings, I think, at this point, but it's better than what we've seen over the past month.
Yeah, some signs right there. So if they don't reach an agreement, how is your group helping to help meet those needs?
Any way we can, to the extent we can provide assistance. Certainly connecting people with resources. We have a whole Shutdown resource page. If you're a furloughed employee, you may be able to apply for unemployment insurance. I mean, it's going to be devastating in terms of the number of people who need help. People going without potential food assistance would probably be the highest level. And then for our members, any way they can get there, and additional assistance, whether it's no interest loans or unemployment in these cases. So just trying to make sure they have the resources or taking advantage of the resources that are available to them.
Okay, I got 30 seconds left here. Do you believe that the bipartisanship can be restored in Washington, or has it gone too deep?
I think it can. I think you're seeing kind of talks ongoing. I think the Senate's probably the place where you see it first emerge. They're just the Senate rules require 60 votes for this, which is why you need a bipartisan deal. It's not because one party or the other has got to be right. It's because you don't get a bill passed through the Senate without eliminating the filibuster without 60 votes. And so I think you're starting to see some talk there. They've actually had a degree of bipartisanship in the larger funding bills that are not just a clean CR, quote unquote. So, they may start to just pass the full funding bills and not just extend last year's funding. So they're actually making decisions about what the government is doing. I think there's some hope for that because in the appropriations committees that control these government funding bills, they've had that bipartisanship.
All right, John Hatton, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look at our 7-day outlook, folks, and it shows the weather getting better. Right? We have the clouds around today. Now, there will be a few breaks in those clouds. 20% chance for an isolated shower, which means most of the area will stay dry. We have the sunshine returning in full for tomorrow. Happy Halloween to you. 42 degrees start. That's going to be chilly. 62 degrees will be the afternoon high. You'll notice our trend. We're trending upward as far as our temperatures go through the weekend and into the beginning of next week. In fact, the 70s come back to us by the middle of next week. We're back, folks, right after this. Welcome back to the show. President Trump on his way back to Washington, D.C. after a whirlwind 3-stop tour of Asia this week. NBC's Tracy Wilkins joins us now from Washington with the details. Tracy, that trip hit a high point today with the president meeting with China's president. How high were the stakes, and what did we know came out of this?
Oh, good morning, Chesley. Yeah, returning from South Korea on Air Force One, President Trump called the meeting with Xi a success, rating it a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. The two leaders discussed fentanyl, the exports of China's rare earth minerals, and trade, prompting Trump to lower tariffs on goods from China from 57 to 47%. President Trump says he plans to visit China in April and says President Xi will come to the U.S. sometime after that. So it went pretty well.
All right. Before the meeting, the president made a surprising announcement about nuclear testing. Share with us the details on that and how much of a bombshell is this?
Yeah, no one saw this coming. After a 33-year halt to nuclear weapons testing, President Trump is calling for the Pentagon to restart nuclear weapons training immediately. The president made the declaration just before his meeting with China's President Xi in South Korea, later explaining it wasn't Xi that prompted the announcement. On Truth Social, the president posted, "The United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country," and then went on to express concern that Russia and China will catch up with the U.S. in 5 years. Trump said he wanted the testing to be done on an equal basis with other countries, but did not elaborate on what that could look like. Now, the U.S. has the ability to restart testing in Nevada, which prompted the state's Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen's reaction on X, posting, "This directly contradicts promises to her from Trump's nominees who said they would not do any explosive nuclear testing."
All right. So let's go back to the U.S.-China meeting. Many creators and influencers back here. We're hoping to hear about a deal to keep social media app TikTok operating here in the United States. Any word on that at all?
Yeah, well, during his brief comments to reporters on Air Force One this morning, the president made no mention of a TikTok deal, nor did he say whether it came up with the Chinese president. So we're just going to have to stay tuned and see what happens with that. And I'm sure plenty of creators are waiting to see what the end is going to be there. I'm Tracy Wilkinson, Washington. Chesley, back to you.
All right, Tracy, thanks so much. Really appreciate your insight on everything. All right, folks, when disasters like what was caused by Hurricane Melissa happen, many organizations step up. We're going to talk to one nonprofit that's doing just that when we return. This is The Take. We're back right after this. Hurricane Melissa is still a Category 2 hurricane. That's still a big hurricane, folks, even though it's not considered a major hurricane. Category 3 or higher is considered a major hurricane. This one is still a Category 2. Winds, as you can see, are at 105 mile per hour winds. Is moving to the north and northeast at 21 miles per hour. Now, that's a very fast moving hurricane. It's setting its sights now on Bermuda, moving out of the Bahamas. You can see starting to clear there. Already clear in Cuba, also already clear in Jamaica, but not clear as far as the devastation goes. The race is on now to help those left in the path of Hurricane Melissa, with entire communities in the tropics struggling to recover. Global aid groups are stepping in fast. One nonprofit group stepping in is a humanitarian organization, Direct Relief. With us now to talk more about it, Executive Advisor in the Caribbean, Yvonne Rodriguez-Wewall. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice for having me.
Absolutely. Yvonne, when we look at the scale of the disaster that has taken place down there in the Caribbean, in particular Jamaica, what is the overall picture of need right now?
There's devastation throughout Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, infrastructure damages. In Jamaica, at least 4 hospitals suffered significant damages, which is reasons for serious concerns, as damages to healthcare infrastructure can have long-lasting impact in post-disaster settings. Experience has taught us that the primary cause of deaths during these events, like hurricanes, is not necessarily the impact of the hurricane, but what comes in the aftermath due to the lack of continuity of medical services. In Puerto Rico, for example, after Hurricane Maria, more than 4,600 people died because pharmacies were closed, health centers were without power, lack of services for people that suffer from chronic conditions, hypertension, diabetes. So,
yeah, you know, it's hard for people to get out. How do you guys get in, right? And then walk us through, you know, how do you guys direct where you send those resources?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges right now. It's logistics, right? Ensuring that essential medical supplies and equipment reach the hardest hit areas as quickly as possible, especially where infrastructure and power remain compromised. Direct Relief, we just allocated $250,000 for emergency operations and logistics, and we already have $60 million in medical aid ready to be deployed. Today, I am going with some colleagues over to Miami, and we'll be in Jamaica tomorrow to continue conversations with the Ministry of Health, do the assessments of the needs, learn what is requested, and then be able to deploy those medicines and medical aid.
Is that what is in high demand the most? Is it the medical supplies?
Yeah, that's what our mission is. Our mission is to help better, improve the access to healthcare. So that's what we're focusing on: medical supplies, medicine, insulin, vaccines, wound care, assistance in preparation for responders. We already deployed backpacks for medical responders. We already have 250 hygiene kits for displaced people that are already on the way. And we have been working with Jamaica for the past couple of years, and we have maybe $3 million approximately in emergency preparedness projects in Jamaica alone, for solar power in medical warehouses, generators for health centers, mobile medical units that assist doctors go to the communities to continue the access to healthcare.
Yeah, what you guys are doing is so important, but it has to be challenging. Talk to me about the challenges to, once you get down in there, trying to get to those communities where power is still out and get those supplies where it's needed.
Yeah, the most important and the biggest challenge right now is the logistics. We need to ensure that the essential medical supplies and the equipment get as fast as we can. Our team is also navigating local transport capacity, which is challenging at the time as well, communication disruptions, and the need to coordinate with multiple partners as well. So we know that there's no duplication of efforts and make sure aid goes where it's needed the most.
Yeah, we got months to go with this, right? What does real recovery look like to you in the months to come?
In our experience in Puerto Rico, it's been 8 years and we're still in recuperation mode. You know, power outages still very, like the fragile, the power grid is very fragile in Puerto Rico. So we have many power outages still. So so we know this is going to take months and up to years.
Okay, well, real quickly here, I got about 30 seconds left. How can people assist you? How can they help?
Direct Relief is a privately funded organization, so we depend on donations from individuals and private companies to continue our work. People can go to our website to get more information. It's directrelief.org, directrelief.org.
There it is. Ivan Rodriguez, you all, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Early
Bye-bye.
shopping this holiday season could be the key to big time savings. We're going to discuss that when we return. This is The Take. We're back right after this. Well, you better wait a bit before checking off that holiday gift list. Yeah, this year's shopping is looking quite different, and experts say getting an early start can help you snag some better deals and avoid sellouts. Don't want that sellout to take place. Here from Consumer Reports is Mary Beth Quirk, Managing Editor for Shopping and Deals. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Mary Beth, your report shows consumers plan to spend about 11% less this holiday season. What's behind the pullback?
People are worried about tariffs. They're worried about prices going up, during the holidays as they usually do. And they're also probably, they're just worried about spending too much right now when everything is going on with prices. So that's why people are looking into maybe shopping earlier this year.
Yeah, you recommend that shopping earlier. What does that really mean this year, shopping earlier?
If you shop earlier, that's like around right now. I mean, the retailers, even since I almost said last month, but earlier this month, they've rolled out some big deals. Amazon had Prime Big Deal Days earlier this month. So they're trying to entice people with some of those lower prices right now. Because of that uncertainty, they're not sure that they'll be able to offer discounts closer to the holidays when demand is higher. That's usually when prices usually climb anyway. So with that tariffs, in the formula, in the mix, that's what I meant to say, it could be even more. So if you really want something right now and you want to make sure you get it, that would probably be best to shop before everybody's out looking for that new hottest item or toy.
Yeah, making sure it's there. I got it. So it's a shift, right, toward careful early shopping. You think it's temporary, or are we going to see a long-term change with this?
I would hope it's temporary. I mean, if I had a crystal ball and I could tell you, we don't have to worry in a year about this, but it always pays to do your research and to be smart about what you're trying to shop for and really sticking to that list. I mean, Santa makes a list and he checks it twice. You should do that. Check it over and over if you really think something, if you want to track that price. Keep an eye on it right now. That's what we're doing right now also at cr.org. We're tracking prices, so we know what it was this summer, we know what the price was this fall, and we can try to help guide you right now on whether you should buy or wait a little bit longer.
Are there certain groups or certain things that we should hone in on when we're talking about the actual costing shoppers more? Is it like electronics or toys or something? What would you say?
I definitely think the popular items for gifts, which are always electronics and toys, I think you'll be able to find prices on like small kitchen appliances and things like that kind of throughout the season. But some of those bigger buys, actually like TVs and maybe some large appliances, those could still have some of those doorbuster sales, even if it's an online doorbuster sales. So some of those models might be held back for the big actual Black Friday and Cyber Monday days. But honestly, it's the things that are popular that are going to go first. So you can also look for things that are maybe not the most recent model of that phone that you want, but like the one right before. Probably going to be deals on those kinds of things. So that's where you can look if you don't need every bell and whistle. You can shop.
All right, help us out here. How can we tell? How can shoppers tell that we're getting a real deal versus some kind of recycled price?
A recycled price, or you want to look for it to be sold not maybe from a third-party retailer. So if you see it listed on a retailer's website, make sure it's sold either through that retailer or maybe the actual brand that's selling it. And that'll help you. And again, tracking those prices, kind of looking at them a few times before you buy, can really give you a better idea of, is this actually a deal, or is it just a graphic that somebody put on the screen to trick you?
Yeah. You know, a lot of people have made the shift now to online shopping. With the brick and mortars that are still out there, is it a better incentive to go there, or is there real savings there, or should we just stick to the online?
I mean, speaking for myself, where the stores are not as close and I don't have a car to pack all my purchases in, I think online is great. There could be, again, some brick and mortar deals just for people shopping in the store. Usually those offers are the same as online as in the store. But if you really like to get that early Black Friday morning rush where you're lined up outside, it could still be worth it. But I think you'll find a lot of deals online as well.
Yeah, that seems to be the way, and I can't keep myself off just looking, or filling up my cart, hoping that the thing will go on sale and then I snag it. What's the one thing that you want?
That's a good thing. I do that too. It's a really great tactic.
It's worked for me, so I guess that's why I'm saying it. But what's the one thing you want consumers to remember before they start clicking add to cart this year?
I mean, it's not a great deal if the product is not a good product. So make sure to check out cr.org. Make sure you're getting quality and not just, saving a buck. Because if it falls apart in a couple of days, it's not going to be worth it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, early. I got from you early and now. Get it now.
Early now, compare, check all the different retailers' prices, and get the best one.
Mary Beth, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for your insight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Halloween is getting more expensive. Yeah, we're going to discuss what's behind those numbers when we come back. Plus, we're going to check in with our friends at the National Weather Service when we return. Stay right there. This is The Take. All right, welcome back to the show. If it feels like your Halloween haul is getting pricier each year, you're not imagining things. A new look at holiday inflation shows the cost for our spooky season staples are climbing faster than our paychecks. Wow. Analysis from the financial services firm Investors Observer. But Halloween spending is up 36% over the past decade. But with the cost of things like pumpkins and candy and even costumes marching skyward, it makes hosting a frugal costume party anything but cheap. Let's look at what's behind this. Sam Borgi is joining us now, researcher and financial analyst with the Investor Observer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, your report actually covered the price over the past 25 years. What surprised you most about how Halloween prices are just outpacing paychecks?
Well, it's interesting because we've all been talking about inflation lately. The consumer price index, prices are growing much faster than many are comfortable with. But if you actually focus on Halloween items, the price of the inflation impact is much greater. So as you mentioned, the pumpkin prices, for example, since 2015, even before the pandemic, are up 67%, whereas candy prices and chewing gum are up 45%. And you go down the list for furnishings and things of that nature, if you want to put up, some spooky, ornaments, all of that is growing at a much faster pace than underlying inflation, which means that if your paycheck isn't keeping up, the amount of money you're spending in real terms is actually much higher since the pandemic. So, Americans are getting squeezed every which way, and that includes Halloween celebrations.
Why is this holiday such a powerful lens into understanding the balance between wage growth and consumer habits and inflation across the economy?
Well, we're in a very strange place in the economy right now where a lot of the GDP numbers are telling us things are rosy, but then the employment picture is telling us things aren't very good. It's kind of being pulled in two opposite directions. I think this year really kind of gives you more of a sense of really how is the consumer economy doing, because one set of numbers tells us one thing, another set of numbers tells us another thing. It seems like the holiday season this year is going to really dictate, which way are we really going, because right now it's like a Jekyll and Hyde economy. Nobody really knows how to evaluate it. We have a data blackout right now, but consumer spending usually provides a pretty good lens of where the consumer is. And right now we're seeing some mixed signals. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether consumer paychecks are going to be able to keep up with the holiday spending habits from Halloween into Christmas.
So when you compare the 2025 season to the past high inflation years, is this year's more a trick or a treat for American consumers?
That's a good question. It seems like it's more of a trick if you consider inflation. I mean, right now, underlying inflation is still very high. And the issue right now is whether it's going to go even higher now with the Fed cutting interest rates and how that's going to trickle through the economy. So if you thought 2% inflation was tough, it seems like we're getting used to 3% for the underlying, which for whatever reason, pumpkin prices, candy prices, everything else related to Halloween is going much faster. So I would side on the side of trick this year.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. From your perspective, what can families do to stretch their Halloween budgets without feeling like they're losing out on the fun?
Yeah, I mean, it's always beneficial if you can get a hold of, the trend beforehand, if you can do your shopping beforehand. I mean, Halloween's a few days away. That might not work this year, but going into the holidays, especially, if you can do some of your shopping early, that's going to be, very beneficial. Ultimately, be wary if you're going to be shopping online these days because of tariffs and where the product is coming from. So try to shop locally, try to get ahead of the curve, and that might help you stay ahead of the, the inflation bite for a while.
When you look at what you've learned and you extend it beyond Halloween, would you say that other seasonal spending lines up with it, like back to school or Christmas? Would we see the same pattern?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing the same pattern. The inflationary impact is across various consumer goods. The holiday shopping season is going to be vital because retailers account for the lion's share of their annual revenue comes from the holiday season. So we are expecting prices to be elevated, and a lot of the economists now expect the tariff pass-throughs are going to start impacting consumers beginning in Q4. So early on, we saw more of a businesses absorbing the cost of tariffs. Now that's being passed on to consumers. So I'm expecting that's going to be another potential effect on Americans' ability to, get what they need this holiday season.
Sam, appreciate your insight, man. Very
my pleasure.
Yeah, very impactful on what we should be buying and what we should be focusing on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right, let's take a live look here, folks. And it is foggy from this perspective. These are low-level clouds, not much so much the fog. We're high above the surface looking down, and so we have those clouds in place. Not everywhere, of course. We do have some breaks in the clouds, but by and large today, it's going to be mostly cloudy on the outside. Cool as well with that with the 50s in place. We're starting off in the 40s. We'll climb up into the 50s as we head into the day today. You're not going to see much sun, but eventually, as we get into the weekend, we'll see that. All right, we're drying out. In other words, yeah, from that soggy week we've had so far, but now temperatures have dropped off a little bit there. We had a front move through. So as we head into the weekend, we're expecting things to warm up. Let's bring in our friend, Ryan Willis, with the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. Meteorologist Ryan Willis, I should say. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, how's it going today?
Not bad at all. Finally starting to turn a corner here where we're starting to dry out, right?
Yes, yeah, it looks like at least for the next couple of days, much drier than we've seen, although I think most people aren't complaining about the rain.
No, well, very beneficial for us, right? Not enough to put an end to a drought. And I just took a look at the latest drought monitor. Explain it to us real quick. We're going to put it up while you explain it to us. From a first glance, it didn't look like it's changed much to me.
Right, yeah, exactly. And most of the improvement was across far north Georgia, where the drought was not quite as bad as it was a little bit further to the south. But as you mentioned, even though we did get 2 to 3 inches of rain across a wide swath of the area, we still need a couple more rainfall events kind of to that caliber to really get us out of the drought that we're in, especially across metro Atlanta.
Wow. I mean, people probably hate hearing that because it was kind of a dreary week for us, along with the winds and also those cold temperatures. Speaking of cold temperatures, even though we start to clear out, our temperatures will be going down for overnight lows. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, so tonight, actually, some areas across the mountains, we might see some more 30s. The thing that will kind of keep us from getting a lot of frost tonight, we think, is some of the elevated winds. But as we get into tomorrow night into Saturday morning, temperatures will probably be a few degrees colder that morning. So we might actually see some more widespread frost as we get into the Saturday morning time frame for portions of the area.
I don't know if people notice or not, but when you guys start saying, hey, we're talking about frost or freeze, that's the time to start protecting those plants, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we are getting to that time of year.
Mm-hmm. And so you have to bring them inside or cover them up with I always say paper bag, not plastic, but what do you suggest?
Yeah, so if you can bring it inside, if they're really sensitive, that's what we recommend that you do. Otherwise, like you said, something that you can cover it with to kind of protect the sensitive plants from the coldest temperatures this time of year.
People call us about certain things when it comes to the weather. I always put it off on you guys when I have you on the show. So trick or treat forecast, what does it look like?
Well, actually, we will see a return to some sunny weather tomorrow, but temperatures will be cool. Probably one of the cooler trick-or-treating time frames that we've seen in some years. So largely temperatures in the 50s by the time we get to trick-or-treating.
All right. Got to talk to you about Melissa, a devastating hurricane, Category 5. somewhat late in the season, and we do know late season hurricanes can be very powerful. Any surprises for you guys when you were watching this, or was it just right on?
Well, the forecast actually was unfortunately pretty spot on in terms of the rapid intensification and the Category 5 intensity. But like you said, late season hurricanes are still a threat. So certainly something to continue watching as we head into the latter part of the season.
Now the storm is headed toward Bermuda, still as a Category 2. Is it expected to remain that way as it heads up there?
Yeah, so some gradual weakening, but certainly impacts to Bermuda again, which they've had a couple of impactful storms this season already. That seems to be kind of the track a lot of these storms have taken this season.
Yeah, we were saying like earlier in the season it was kind of a benign season for us, but it only would take one really to ruin a season, and this could be that one, right?
Right, yes, especially for the Jamaica, Cuba, Hispaniola area, certainly one of their more impactful storms on record down there.
Does this really impact you guys all that much? I mean, I know you're regional, and so does it affect the entire program, or are you guys kind of pretty much honed in on what's happening over us?
So here locally at our office, we were insulated from any impacts from Melissa because there were no impacts to North or Central Georgia. But, anytime there's potential impact along the Gulf Coast, that's really when we start ramping up here.
All right. And a warm-up coming our way next week. Can we say that?
Yeah, it looks like we will gradually warm up closer to normal by next week.
Sounds good. Ryan, appreciate you joining us, man, and thanks for all your insight today.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care. Don't go anywhere, folks. When we return, we're going to check in with Maribel Aber from CNN to show you how your money matters. We're back right after this. Well, welcome back to the show. Once again, the Federal Reserve has taken the scissors to interest rates. CNN's Maribel Aber joins us now from the NASDAQ market site, and I kind of flubbed your name there because I wanted to get to the fact that you were singing some Whitney Houston this morning. Yeah, quite sure.
Was I singing or lip syncing?
It sounded good to me. It sounded really good to me. Good morning to you.
Well, you know what also? No, I was going to say good morning, Chesley. I think what probably might also sound good is this cut that you're talking about. The Federal Reserve cut its key lending rate by another quarter point to the lowest level in 3 years, as the benchmark now ranges between 3.75% and 4%. And that move could lower borrowing costs on credit cards, on auto loans, and mortgage rates. Fed Chair Jerome Powell cautioned that a December rate cut may not happen if the government shutdown continues. Central bank officials have been forced to shape monetary policy without key federal economic data. Most inflation and job reports, Chesley, are paused until the government reopens.
Okay. All right. We have a critical Saturday coming up, the deadline for SNAP benefits, but DoorDash is now stepping up?
Yeah, DoorDash and GoPuff are teaming up to support SNAP recipients. That's starting next month. DoorDash is waiving delivery and service fees on qualifying orders in November. Recipients can link their SNAP cards to the app to see full details and participating stores. GoPuff is offering $25 off 2 orders next month on SNAP eligible items. Promo codes are in its app. Around 42 million Americans are expected to lose food assistance if the program pauses on Saturday. And Chesley, food banks nationwide are bracing for a surge in demand, and many companies have announced SNAP-related discounts.
Wow. Yeah. Speaking of food, Aldi is putting out a recall for their mix-up with the taco dinner kits.
Taco kits at Aldi are being recalled because they contain hot cocoa packets instead of seasoning mix. They were sold in 28 states under the brand names Martin's and Giant Crunchy Taco Dinner and Casa Mamita Soft Taco Kit. The number of Georgia Aldis are included in the recall. The FDA says the cocoa packets pose a potentially life-threatening milk allergy risk. The food manufacturer is blaming one of its suppliers for the packet mix-up. Customers are advised to throw the kits away or return them for a refund. No illnesses have been reported so far, and full details are on the FDA's website. Chesley, important alert for folks ahead of planning for Taco Tuesday next week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, finally, teens forming bonds with AI chatbots. What's behind the new kind of digital connection?
Okay, Character AI. They're saying they're going to soon restrict how its chatbot interacts with minors. So the Silicon Valley startup says the move is part of a broader plan to make its apps safer for users under 18. This follows reports of teens forming these emotional attachments to AI personas, including one case linked to a suicide. The company will limit minors to 2 hours of open-ended chats per day. It will block romantic and sexual topics entirely. The company will use verification software from Persona, which is used by several tech companies to confirm a user's age. But Chesley, you know, we're moving into home robots. That's happening. There's like a California tech company launching something called Neo. It's like a humanoid robot to help around the house. But how do you put those controls like with your kids and then you have like a robot in your house?
We can't be that lonely, Maribel. We can't be.
Well, I mean, you know, maybe some people need some help on the house. I just know the price tag for this one, Chesley, it's like something like $15,000, $20,000 in that ball range. So we're not getting it anytime soon.
No. I'd rather speak to you. I have a good time with you every morning. Thanks so much for everything.
You got it.
And the song.
Let's jam.
And the song. All right, take care. All right, just in time for Halloween, researchers finding that bats glow in the dark. Is it real? We'll discuss it up next. Don't go anywhere. Well, here's something straight out of a Halloween special, but it's pure science. Researchers at the University of Georgia have discovered that several species of bats actually grow green under UV ultraviolet light. We're not talking about glow sticks in disguise, but they found it to be real, found it in their wings and in their legs. Let's look into this spooky detail with lead author and of the study, as well as a UGA alum, Brianna Robertson. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Robertson, that's your last name. I'm sorry. Welcome to the show, first of all, and let's get with the obvious here. Glowing bats. What made you guys look into if bats glow or not?
Well, we actually examined a bunch of different species of mammals, but we were specifically interested in bats, not only because they are fun and charismatic, but also they kind of represent a little bit of an evolutionary outgroup. You know, they fly, which is different from so many other species of mammals, and they have really distinct and interesting social systems. So if we're looking at functions for the glow, they're a really great model.
What sparked your curiosity with this?
I had a previous student in our lab who observed the glow in pocket gophers, and there have been a ton of recent papers published. A really big one was flying squirrels. So super interesting and up and coming field. I've always been interested in evolutionary ecology, so I was really excited to find out more.
All right, so when you first turned on that UV light in the lab, what was your reaction?
Well, I was a little surprised. I hadn't looked at bats before, but I was really hoping that they would glow. So I was incredibly excited when they did. What I observed was a little bit different because what we see in the bats is not actually within the fur, it's within the skin, which differs from a lot of the other observations in mammals. So I was also surprised by that as well, but it did motivate me to look into why.
So what is it? Why is their skin under UV light glowing in green?
It's $1 million question. We are still trying to find out more. This study helped us understand that it's probably not due to function in camouflage. We looked at a bunch of different species that roost in different structures. 2 of them prefer roosting among leaves. Some of them prefer roosting in caves. And you'd expect that the color that they glow might be different if it was helping them camouflage, but it wasn't. So we don't think it's due to that. We also thought that there was the potential for it to be related to mating or sexual selection. So maybe the males would glow really brightly and that would help them attract a mate, but we didn't find a difference there as well. So currently we think that if there is a function in modern bats, it might be related to behavior for foraging or flying around, because what we see is on the ventral or the bottom surface of the bat, and those areas are less visible when they're roosting. But because fluorescence is widespread in mammals, it could just have been a trait left over from early mammals.
Yeah. What stood out most to you about the pattern or the intensity of the glow?
Specifically that it was within the patagium, which is the skin and the wings of the bat. That was different from all the other species. Also, the green color was really interesting. A lot of other mammals, we see a pink or a blue or a red. Green is less commonly observed. So that was fun to see as well.
Yeah. Could this glow be telling us something about the biology of a bat that we're missing out on?
Sure. Yeah. If there is a function, like I said, it might be related to flight and foraging. Another big issue with bats right now is white nose syndrome, which is a fungus that is causing the decline of many bat populations. And that fungus has also been seen to glow under UV light. So there might be some interaction there, and having a better understanding of the functions that why bats themselves glow could help us understand a little bit more about white nose syndrome as well.
Yeah. Now, we can't see the glow ourselves. Like if we see a bat flying overhead, we wouldn't be able to see that glow, right?
It's not likely. We did examine the bats under a laboratory UV light. It's not known whether that level of light or enough light is present just in the surrounding environment to have the same level of excitation. That's a question for future research.
Gotcha. What's the biggest misconception about bats that we need to clear up?
I think a lot of people know the saying blind as a bat. Another interesting thing about bats is that vision is actually very important to them. We found evidence to support that they can probably see the glow as well. It's within a range of wavelengths that they would be able to see. And also, bats are super important for the environment. A lot of them are pollinators. They play really integral roles in many ecosystems. So I'm happy that people are excited to learn more about bats and understand their ecology better.
Yeah, you cleared up a lot, and especially for our producer, Jesse, who's very afraid of bats. You put his mind at ease. I want you to think about one thing, Breon. Think about the lightning bug or the firefly, that green glow with the glow of the bat. I don't know if it has a correlation or not. I'm not as smart as you, but just thought I'd throw some insight on there. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to have another look at your forecast, plus my final take when we come back. Extended outlook shows that cool air finally starting to go away, at least. We have mostly cloudy skies for today. Small threat for an isolated shower. You're looking at the sunshine returning just in time for Halloween. Trick-or-treaters will be happy. Sun sets, by the way, by 6:46 on Friday. So if you want to get some daylight hours of trick-or-treating, I'd say start around 5 o'clock. That may work. 65 degrees for the high on Saturday. Sunday, 66. We'll see partly sunny skies both weekend days. Chance for the rain comes back to us on Monday. That's the way it looks for now. 40% chance for that rain. 20% chance on Tuesday as it lingers into the next day. But notice temperatures continue to warm up. So we're looking at 71 degrees for the afternoon high temperature on Wednesday. Back to the 70s. So keep in mind, 70 is where we should be for this time of year, and we'll take it. All right, my final take, folks. We say goodbye to daylight saving time this weekend, which is a favorite for many because, in theory, we're gaining 1 hour by setting our clocks back 1 hour. It also brings up the debate whether or not we should still be doing it. Is it beneficial? Well, Benjamin Franklin invented this concept back in 1784 with the thought that rising early would economize candle usage and save people money. Pushing clocks forward to make greater use of daylight hours during the summertime was adopted officially during World War I as part of a global attempt to conserve energy. That's the rationale that keeps us doing it today. Now, many refute this by saying with the more daylight hours we have, we spend more money cooling our homes off because of the extra daylight. Others complain about the clock switch creating mood disorders and depression and anxiety. Listen, let me tell you something. If it's saving us money, then we still need to use it. If it's not, then we need to get rid of it. We need to remain consistent. I can tell you that right now, because it'll be one less reason for people to have an attitude and try to blame it on daylight saving time. You know that's coming, right? Yeah, because that's just what we do. It doesn't really help me out at all. It makes me more sluggish for some reason, even though I know I'm getting the hour, right? We all look forward to it, but hopefully it'll be beneficial to your health, folks. All kinds of studies out on this. Read some for yourself. Hey, have a great day, and make sure you try to encourage someone. Move your clock back 1 hour this weekend. Save some time.